Hey guys, it's Sarah and today is BookList Thursday, and this is a video series that I helped create with my friend Lisa from Books and Smiles. I will have her link down below. Please go and check her out. And every Thursday we're bringing you just a fun little list of usually 5 books that we just want to talk about, or 5 things that we want to talk about with topics and all that fun stuff. This week we decided we were going to do a favorites from Q1 from our reading for 2018. So these are kind of the top 5 that we read in 2018 so far that we have really loved. I'm going to go in a little bit of an order. These were all 5-star reads for me. So every single one is 5 stars, but there were, just a couple that I liked a little bit more for certain reasons, even though they got the same rating. So I'll go in a little bit of an order. The first one is The Queen of Hearts, and this is by Kimmery Martin. This is a book that I actually received from the publisher in exchange for an honest review, and I loved it. First of all, this cover is my favorite cover so far this year. Like, I can't handle how beautiful this is. It's so gorgeous. And the story inside was just as good. This is a medical drama, and it follows a set of friends who went through medical school together and did all their internships and all their residencies and everything together. And as adults, they are practicing doctors in the same town in North Carolina. However, someone from their residency years comes back into their lives unexpectedly and kind of turns everything upside down. And you get 2 different timelines. You get the present, and then you also get what happened during their time together with this other person. And it was fantastic. It was very Grey's Anatomy-ish and definitely gave me those vibes. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really great story, and I liked how it all went. And yeah, 5 stars. I loved it. I do have a separate review video for this. If you guys are interested, I'll leave it linked. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And again, 5 stars. This next one is one that I actually read this month, and I really loved it, and that is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is a classic mystery book, and it's one that I had never read before. It's an author I had never read before, and so many people were surprised to know that I really love mysteries and thrillers, but I had never read an Agatha Christie book. And I was like, oh, I need to get on that apparently. Obviously, I had heard of Agatha Christie. I think most people have, but I just hadn't read anything, and then someone told me, pick this up, you need to read it. And I did. It was actually part of my birthday reading project, and I absolutely love this. It's a great story. You can tell it was written a long time ago, but just some of the verbiage that was used and some of the language was really interesting. I was guessing this entire time. I could not figure out who the killer was in here, which was fantastic because I love it when a book keeps me guessing and I can't figure it out. I love that. This follows a group of people who are invited to a private island for different reasons that they're going there under an assumption that they're there for a certain reason. However, they're all there for a completely different reason, which they find out. They all gather there and they find out that basically none of them are gonna be planning to leave alive. And it's so interesting. Oh, it's so good. And there's a certain reason they're all there. They all have something in common, and they start getting picked off one by one. And it has a very interesting poetic element to it as well, which I thought was so incredibly interesting and creative. And yeah, I loved this. I thought it was fantastic, and I cannot wait to read more Agatha Christie. Next one is Colleen Hoover, Without Merit. I loved this book. This is her newest release. It came out, I believe, in February, and I absolutely loved it. This follows a family who has a lot of problems, and it kind of centers around one of the daughters. Her name is Merit, and she is wrestling with the fact that she knows a lot of secrets about her family, and she really feels the pressure to keep these secrets for her family members. They're all very, very flawed. No one is perfect within any stretch of the word, and you really kind of see her start to crumble a little bit and how the family deals with that. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Does it have problems? It's Colleen Hoover, of course it does, but I'm definitely one of those people who can overlook a lot of the problematic issues and just enjoy it for what it is, which is fiction, and it's fine, and I love it, and I could not put this book down. I almost read it in one sitting, but I had to go to sleep, so I finished it the next morning, but it was fantastic, and I've loved everything Colleen Hoover has put out so far. All right, the next one is Mistborn. This is actually called The Final Empire. This is the first book in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. This book is fantastic. It's a high fantasy adult novel, and it took me a while to read it because it's very dense and it's very complicated as far as, this is a fantasy world and there's a magic system and there's certain political things that are happening, and it follows an empire that is very, very corrupt, and you see this rebellion start to happen. So you're following all these different things. So this wasn't action-packed from beginning to end for sure. There's a lot of political things in here and a lot of planning and strategies, but I was interested the entire time. The characters in here are fantastic. I love the characters in this and just the things that they were going through and the things that they were discovering. And the magic system is so incredibly interesting to me that I couldn't get enough of it. I just wanted to keep reading and was so interested the entire time. I really, really enjoyed this one, and I cannot wait to read the other 2 books in this trilogy. And this has definitely gotten me to want to read more fantasy books for sure. It is a genre that I wanted to get a little bit more into, and this one definitely has piqued my interest in more of the adult side of it versus the young adult side of it. I've read a few young adult fantasies, which have been great, but the adult stuff scares me a little bit. It's a little bit intimidating, but this has really gotten me to want to pick up more, and I just absolutely loved it. Sanderson's writing is fantastic. It's very smart. It made a lot of sense to me. I didn't feel like he was dumbing anything down for me, but I was also able to follow it really well, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And my number 1 favorite book of the first quarter of 2018 is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. All right, I still have to take a breath before I talk about this book because it's just so burned into my brain. I don't know if this will ever leave my mind. This book is a very, very dark thriller. It is very adult. It is very brutal. It has a lot of violence in here and just things that will physically make you cringe. So know that going into it, you have to be able to handle some stuff in order to read this book. Not everybody can read these books, and I've heard from quite a few people who said that they started it, but they couldn't finish it. And I totally get that. I totally understand. Me personally, I love this stuff. So I loved it so much, and it shocked me in very good ways. It wasn't written the way that some books are where, it's trying to shock you, but you can tell it's just trying to shock you. And this one shocked me in really good ways, just things I didn't see coming and things that were happening that I just went, oh my gosh. And I loved it. Her writing was fantastic, and the characters in here were so great, all of them. And the crazy was so crazy, like one of the craziest characters I've ever read about. And yeah, it was just so good. So basic premise, this follows a family who had one of their daughters go missing in college back in the 1990s, I believe. And she actually disappeared from the University of Georgia, which if you follow my channel for a while, that's my team, that's my school. Both my parents went there. We follow the Georgia Bulldogs and football and all that. I'm like a crazy Bulldog fan. So it was really cool to see that too, because she talked about the school and the campus, and I was talking to my mom about it because my mom was reading it too, and she was like, yeah, that's a real place and that's a real thing, and we used to go to lunch there, and I was like, oh my gosh. So that was really cool just in and of itself. But then you are following this family because this daughter disappeared. They never heard from her or heard about what happened to her. They never found a body. So they spent decades not knowing what happened to her. This follows her sisters as adults, and they are, have their own families, and they're trying to kind of make their way, but there's always been this cloud over their family because of the disappearance of their sister, and things start happening where it looks like the same person is doing things girls are disappearing in the same type of way that their sister did. So they're thinking he might be back, or there might be a copycat or something. So you're seeing all this stuff kind of unravel, and they are also finding out things about their sister and her disappearance and what actually happened. It was so interesting, and I just loved it so much. And this is a book I would reread again, even though it was crazy and brutal and, shocking. But I'm totally on board for Karen Slaughter. She is a new author to me that I am ready to just jump on board for all of her books now. All right, guys, that is it for me. Those are my top 5 favorite books that I've read so far in 2018. Please leave me comments down below. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know what your favorite book that you've read this year so far, what's in your #1 slot so far for the first 3 months. And make sure you go and check out Lisa's video today too. I'm really excited to see what her #1 is going to be. And I will talk to you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.